Okay, let's see what's happening. All right. I'm going to try this for the fourth time here, guys. My apologies. Let me refresh my screen. I think I'm live. Okay, let's get this party going. I'm only now 26 minutes late. So let me get in on my computer so I can see, make sure that we can see the same thing. My apologies again to you guys. Okay, here we go. I think you all should be able to see that. Alrighty, I am Dawn Duvall. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and I have been doing this craziness for 14 years. This month, actually, I'm adjusting my camera, so bear with me. I want to make sure that y'all can see what's going on here. Okay, we're going to get started because we're now behind schedule. Anytime you shop with me during the week, or on the weekend, if you spend $35 in my online store, then you will receive card kits that I prepared during that class, as long as you place an order the following Sunday of the time that you've watched. If you place a $50 order, then you'll get the card kits as well as a full embellishment. But since we're in celebration, bump it up to $60, and then you'll get a free set of your choosing from the celebration catalog. We've also added some punches and die cuts and all sorts of things. So anyway, so keep that in mind. This is the host code that I would need you to use for the month of February. All right, so with that being said, we are going to get started. We're running behind schedule, and again, my apologies for that. We're going to work with the decorative Linked Together Decorative Mask. And this is on page 48 and 49 in the annual catalog. I'm sorry, and the catalog that runs from now through April, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, through the end of April. Now this is, let me get over here so y'all can see the page. Let me just show you. Here's the page that has the mask. Now we've used decorative masks before, and these are really great because if you're having a hard time trying to come up with a design, these are great to use because you just need to use some blending brushes, sponge daubers. You can use paste, stamping paste, or whatever that other crafting item that you can use and then wipe off. So here is the Linked Together Decorative Mask, and it's on page 49. It does come with a stamp set with some coordinating dies that you can purchase. However, I just went with the dies, with the mask. There's 5 masks, and they're $13, okay? So what you're going to do, and we've done this before, and we'll do it again today, I'm going to use certain ones of these to create a card. Now, I'm going to flip the back over to page 48, and this is what Stampin' Up has showed for their design. So this kind of gives you some ideas of how you can use these masks, okay? So you can see, and when it says linked together, is because they go on top of each other, and then you tape them down, and then you start coloring with whatever the colors are that you want to create for your background. And with that, it makes things so much easier. Okay. All right. So you can see here some of the masks. Now it does have the die. So if you do buy the bundle, then you can cut this out. It's got some stitch trimming around it. Here's another one where they embossed a piece of cardstock and then cut it out with the oval die and then cut that in half or in thirds and add it on the back as a background. And then this one, we're going to do one similar to this, using this dots in the background. So this is really an exciting set that we have available. And for $13, I think it makes a great thing. Doesn't take up a lot of space. And it gives you a lot of great opportunities of things that you can do using your own creativity. Okay, so what I did, first of all, I'm going to show you. We're going to do the mask. And they're white masks, and they will lay up against each other. And I'm going to show you, after we get done, some of the other designs. I'm only going to use 2 of the 5 designs. So I'm going to bring in a piece of white paper because we're going to do some blending. I'm going to use mask number 1, and then we're going to use mask number 5. And I'll show you those when we get done. I went ahead and colored those on other paper, and I want you to see what we can do with those And I did it so that you could see what they actually look like. All right, so now here's some of the things before we get started. So you can spritz the mask using your ink. So put ink in there, you can mix it. You can do chalk or glimmer sprays. You can use your sponge, daubers, or blending brushes. You can do paint. You can trace the marker, so you can trace your mask, and then you can add texture by using embossing paste. So those are some of the ideas that you can do when you're creating with these masks. All right, so the first thing, let me show you the card that we're going to make. All right, let me bring it in. So this is the card that we're going to create. We're using Petunia Pop cardstock that's cut at 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. And then we're using a piece of basic gray. Now I did cut that down. You can leave it at 4 by 5 1/4. I cut it down because I had my mask off-centered, and so I needed to trim it. And then a piece of basic white that we're going to use 2 of the masks. We're going to use number 1 and number 5. And then I cut out, I'm using several different die sets, so let me show you those real quick. But if you buy the bundle, then obviously you'll get the dies that go with this set, but use whatever you have at home. I'm using the Countryside Corners for my sentiment, and I'm using the second smallest, okay? And then I'm using the Texture Floral. I'm using this little twig here, and I've cut that out a couple of times, and I'm using Shy Shamrock and Petunia Pop. And then on this one, this is the Umbrella Days. I'm using these little flowers. And then I also brought in because those are really tiny. So when you see how small they are, I also brought in one of our old retired small punch, which makes this a little flower. And that one is a lot bigger than, and this is the one I'm going to mainly use, but add some of the other ones as well. Okay. All right. So this is the card that we're going to create. Now, the first thing that we want to do is we want to lay our paper down. I think I'm going to do it this way. Hang on a second. I'm going to flip this over because I just realized, let's do it this way. All right, now I'm using a piece of basic white as soon as I find my paper. Hang on a minute. Hang on. All right, so I'm using a piece that's 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to cut this down. But what I want to do, all right, so first of all, I've got a piece of scrap paper behind it that I'm going to tap down. I'm going to tape it down. So if I go off, and it doesn't matter because I have my craft mat here, my glass mat, but I'd rather just keep it so I don't get ink all over everywhere. So I'm just going to use some positioning tape that you can tear off and stick, okay? All right, so the first thing that we want to do is we're going to line up our mask. And if you look at, and we've done this before, each one is numbered in the top left-hand corner, and it has this little, see this little divot there? That's how you want your mask to line up. So if we start, and you see how if I start, I'm going to move this up. Now, what typically I do, actually, let me get a bigger piece of paper. That's probably going to make it a lot easier. Hang on, let me get my scraps if I can get to them. Let's do it. Here we go. Here's a good size one. I cut this one down. That doesn't make sense. Give me just a second. Let's toss this one. We want a bigger one because I want y'all to see how to line them up. Okay, that'll work. All right, so we're going to tape this down again because we don't want our paper to shift, right? All right, so hang on a minute. And I'm going to try to zoom in. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit for you all. I'm not sure if I can do that when I'm live. All right, because I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. I'm actually going live on my cell phone. Okay, so there we go. All right, so the first thing that we want to do is I've got my piece of basic white cardstock right here. So I'm going to lay my mask on here. That's better. So where this little divot is, so I'm going to line it up. So I've got a little bit of space between the edges of my mask on here where it's going to go on my white. So I'll be trimming the white down, which is fine. So I want to get this right here. So I'm going to make a little pencil mark where that divot goes, okay? And I'm going to put this right here. So that way, when I bring my next mask in, all I need to do now is just lay it in that same corner area, line it up, and then it's going to be lined up on my template. All right. So just make sure you use a pen or pencil. And once you get it positioned on your basic white or whatever piece you're using, then make your mark, lay it down, and then we're going to tape this down so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. All right. So now we've got that there. So let's bring our number 1 mask back in. So I'm going to, let me move this up. So I'm going to line up my mask right in that area where I marked. And I've got to adjust my white piece because I moved it out of the way. So hang on a second. Let's get this over here. It's probably going to go to the right just a little bit. All right, so I'm going to lay my mask there. There we go. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So now I'm going to take a piece of tape. I'm going to tape this down on this corner, and then I'm going to tape it down on this corner so hopefully it doesn't move, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And now, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to do my background in the Petunia Pop. So I'm going to bring in my Petunia Pop ink, and I've got a blending brush that I used earlier. So we're going to use that to start our coloring. So I'm just going to go ahead and get some ink on here. Now, you can always tap off if you don't want to get, you know, how you start out and you don't want it to get like a blob, right? Or if you have your glass mat, you can tap it on here and wipe it off later. So I'm just going to do a little tapping there. I'm still going to hold this with my hands because sometimes this tape doesn't quite hold as strong as you want it to, but that's what we're going to go with. And I'm going to actually, I'm going to move this one up so it holds it down as well. I think we're good. Okay, so now we're going to start our blending. So we're just going to work our way around and just hold your mask, and you can make it lighter or darker as you want. All right, so you just go both directions. I started to the left, now I'm going to the right, and that's going to take any excess ink that I have on here and place it down on my basic white cardstock. And then you can come back and re-ink if you want to have it darker. I kind of like it not being, I like having the lighter and the darker spots on here. And then when you get done, after you pull your mask off, you just rinse this off in the water and let them air dry, or you can dry them off either way. And you're good to go. Okay, so there's our pink. That's our Petunia Pop. So let's take that mask off. And hang on a minute. I gotta get my tape off here. All right, so we're going to lift this one up. We're going to untape him. All right, so there is our first mask. All right, you see that? Now we're going to set this one off to the side because we're going to rinse him later. Now I'm going to come in with number 5. So number 5 is going to allow me, I'm going to place this right up there in that corner mark in the left-hand corner, right? And I want to make sure I've got my paper. I've got my dots and everything. Let me straighten it up just a tad. Let me move it over just a little bit. And I think that's good. Let's make sure. Hang on. I'm going to, normally you may want to tape your basic white piece down, but I think that looks pretty good because, again, we're going to trim this up. And let's go ahead and tape down our mask. All right, so now I'm going to close my Petunia Pop, and I'm going to come in with my basic gray. So we're going to come in with basic gray, and that's going to give us those little flower marks or the little 5 dots that you saw in the card. All right, so we're going to come in with basic gray, and again, I'm just going to tap it, and I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to start with my dots again. And let me just make sure I got this. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so we're going to get some ink going, and then we're just going to start blending because we want to get these dots on here to give our look. I probably should have re-inked this. We want to get these dots to show. Now, the dots are only going where the holes are, okay? So, yeah, I needed to re-ink, and I didn't, but that's all right. So we're just going to go through here, and I'm holding this one because it's wanting to move on the desk. So I'm going to hold this down, and we're going to bring in, let me do it on this side. we're going to come down and do this way and we get some more ink. You might want to make sure that you ink up your ink pad before you start this process, so you don't have to keep tapping, tapping, tapping. All right, so I'm just going to go through here and make sure I've got all of my little flower pieces. I'm going to call them flowers. They're little dots. So I want to make sure we've got enough ink. Okay, so now we've got that. All right, so that one's done. Let's close up our ink and let me move my blending brush over. All right, so now we're going to take this off. We're going to move this one off. There we go. So we got our mask, and we're going to take that off. And now you can see my dots, right? Now, we're not going to do any more blending, but we're going to trim this down. So let me move that out of the way and bring in my paper trimmer. And we're going to cut this down. Now, my basic gray is going to be 4 by 5 1/4, but we're going to cut this down first and see what we need to do. I want to get all the white pieces off, the white sides. So once I do that, then I will adjust my basic gray, okay? So we've got that. Now, you can leave the white if you want. I don't, so I'm just going to cut them off. And then I can just go back and adjust I think that's fine. No, I better cut it off because I don't have white on the other end. So I'm just going to do a little smidge right here, just enough to bring that white off. And then we'll cut this one down. Okay. All right. We'll bring that one down. And, okay, let's see. Let me get this one. This one's got a little bit of white showing, so I'm going to just do another quick trim on that one. And you can leave the white. I really do. I want just mainly, and if I have a little bit of white showing, I'm not going to, freak out about that. All right, so this is measured now at 3 3/4, which is fine, by 5. So that's good. So if I lay it on my gray, then it's going to have a nice border. Now, we could trim this down just a little bit so we don't have so much gray showing. So this is cut at 4 inches. Oh, no, wait a minute. Actually, this is cut at 4 1/8. So let's move it down. I'm going to move it just slightly to the right of the 4-inch mark. And let's see what that does. And I'm going to do the same thing on my 5. This one's over. This is 5 1/4 actually. So let's do 5 and then let's do that, and then I'll fix it. We'll adjust it accordingly. Okay. So, and this is just where you play with how much you want your background paper to show between. I think that's going to be fine, just like that. So that'll work. All right, so let's move our paper trimmer out of the way. And now we're just going to decorate our card. All right, and then I have all my little pieces in this bag. So I think I'm going to go ahead and attach this to my basic gray piece, and then I can add everything. And then that way, I just need to add it to our card. So let me find my adhesive. All right, and leave me a comment what you think about this. And make sure that you share with your friends and other crafting folks. That would be marvelous. All right, so we're going to get that on there. Okay. All right, now we're going to start building our scene, if you will. Okay. So we've got that there. Now here's all my little pieces. Let me show you these little. So here's the little tiny flowers that I initially started that I was going to work with. And I would try to zoom in, but I can't get to my phone because it's in a case that, it's in the stand that I can't really get to. So anyways, so I punched out several of these bigger flowers. The white, I did some white, and I did some of the Shy Shamrock. So I think what we're going to do, and I did 2 of the Petunia Pop. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these little tiny ones and I'm going to place them on top just to give them a little bit of a look, okay? So we're just going to kind of separate everything right here. So this is the time-consuming part. Now, I only cut out one of these, but what I'm doing is I'm going to trim these down because a lot of this is going to be hidden underneath our sentiment. All right, so I'm going to place my sentiment. I want it to be right about in this area. So that kind of gives me an idea of where I need to put everything, right? So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut off this one stem to the right. So I'm going to have 3 of these little stemmy things, okay? And then I'm going to come down, because this part's not going to be seen. All right, so I'm going to have one there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to trim this one down and that one, and then this one I'll just cut, and that one, and then I have this one. And I know I don't need all that, so I'm going to cut that off. So I've got 3 gray pieces that I can work with, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing with my Shy Shamrock. I'm going to just trim these guys off so that I can use them in my design. So we're going to take and cut that off. So I've got one, and then I'm going to come back, and I've got this longer one, and I'm going to try to come back and do about like that. And then I have this one, and I'll probably cut this off right here because we don't need that. All right, so now I have 3 pieces of each color. So now I'm just going to start trying to build my card and what I want it to look like, right? All right, so I'm just going to lay everything down to get an idea of where I want to place everything. And I know I want a gray, and this might be fun just to do them so they're going in different directions, huh? So we might do like that, kind of have it over this way. And then I'm going to lay my thing on top so I can cover some of that. So I think I'll come down here. And I am going to trim this one off a little bit because I think it's a little bit too long. And I'm going to place this one on this side, I think, so it's opposite. And I'm just going to lay it here again. I'm trying to determine where I'm going to place these other guys. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is, let's see, we've got 3. So I think I will do, let's see. I can put this one and that one. Let's do that. Let's put that there. Let's put another green one here. And I should have another green one. And let's do, we could do, what if we did another, this guy off to the side somewhere. Let's look and see how that works. Let's put this on here just to give us an idea before we start gluing everything down. Okay, I think that will be fine. And then we're going to add the flowers all throughout. All right, so let's go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to get my tweezers. We'll hold on to that. And just add a couple of little dots. You don't need a whole lot. And then just place it down. And just, again, you're going to place it wherever you want on that part of your card. And then we'll do the same on this one. Once you get the top ones done, then we'll have a better idea of where we can place the bottom ones because we'll know where we need to cover these up. And this guy is going to be leaning a little bit. I'm going to have him up a little bit higher and then just lay him right about there. And then this one I'm going to wait until I do the bottom pieces. So let's come down and we'll put some adhesive on this. All right, and then this guy, make sure I get this back here. Let's do him a little bit down a little bit because I know I've got room with my sentiment that's going to cover that up. And I like the fact that this beige or gray, basic gray is going to go in the center. So we're going to put that there. All right, so let me get my tweezers. All right, so that's going to go right about there. Whoops. And get glue on your fingers. It's going to go with you. All right. And then we have this one we're going to lay down. And then we'll start building our flowers. Okay. So let's see. We're going to move this one a little bit up so it's not hanging out so long. Oopsie. Got glue on my fingers. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Now let's take our sentiment again before we do anything and see. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. And I think this guy, let's put him off kind of like by himself, a little bit off. Get some glue on this one. All right, so we're going to glue this one down. All right, we're going to have him kind of leaning to the right. All right, so we've got those. All right, now we know that this is going to be covered, so I'm going to lay that there because now I'm going to start placing my flowers, right? So let's build some flowers. I'm going to take the white, and I'm actually going to take the little white ones to put on top. And just put a little bit of adhesive. You don't need a lot on here. And we'll just lay it down. These are really tiny too. So let's get that there. All right, we're going to push that off to the side for a minute, let that dry for a moment. And then we'll just do a couple more of these. You can try to put a dot on this larger white piece, but I think with the adhesive, you got to be careful because you might have it to where it's sticking out. It might ooze out. All right, so we're just going to put just a little dab on these little side pieces right there. And we're going to add that to this as well. All right, so we're going to move him up there. So that gives me 2. I think let's just do 3. And then we'll do 3 of the other ones. Okay, so let's do one more white. Oh, we've got one right here. All right, let's do this one. And we'll do another white. And hold that right there. Okay. And then that's going to go right there. So I'm going to let that dry. My husband's talking to the dog. Okay. And then this one, we're going to do the green. We'll do the same thing with the green. I see this one, I got a little bit too much glue, but that's okay. It's going to dry. You won't be able to see it. So we're just going to push that off to the side. So if you have some dies that will cut out some flowers, that will probably be less time consuming than what I'm doing. But again, you use the stuff that you have on hand, and that makes it a lot easier. All right, so we're going to do 2 more. We're going to do 1 more green after this one. And then we've got the petunia pop, and then we'll be ready to put these down. And we're just going to use glue dots to adhere these. We're not going to pop these up. Our sentiment will be popped up, so I think the flowers will stay down. And then we'll do 1 more here. Oh, got too much on that one. All right, so let's put that over here. And we'll lay that one right there. Move it over just a tad. All right. Get it off my finger. Okay, so those are ready. And then the green, these little guys, I think we'll use some rhinestones to put in the center of those, in the petunia pop ones, okay? All right, so now we're going to take our glue dots, and we're going to go through here. Let me just tear off a little bit. And we'll do a little bit at a time. All right, so we're going to bring these guys in. I'm going to lay it on the back, and then we'll just add it to where we think we want a little flower. So let's put a white one over top of the basic beige. And we've got another white. So let's put that one. And then I think we'll probably add rhinestones to all of them. Let's put this one right here. And do we want another white one? Let's see. Let's go with our green, and then we'll make a decision if we want any more. All right, so we've got one here. So let's go ahead and add that to this one here. So that's going to go on that green one. And it's easier for these tiny ones. I'm going to tear off the glue dots because it's easier for me to get to them. All right, so we've got a green one. Let's go ahead and add that on here. And again, if you have flowers that you can cut out with your dies or a punch that you don't have to add anything to it, it'll make it a lot easier. This is a little tedious, but that's all right. It's going to make our card look really pretty. And let's put a, do we want another green one somewhere? I can't decide. We could put one, nah, I don't know. We need something over here, don't we? All right, let's put, I'm going to save this one. Maybe we could do a little, just a little tiny flower. We could do that. So let's do that. Let's put a little tiny flower right there, like a bud. All right, we'll get that. Let's put him right here. That looks like he's just petunia pop flowers. So let's place these. I got 2 of those I punched out. So let's get some adhesive on the back of these. And then we'll add some rhinestones, stamp our sentiment, and then we will be done. And then I'll show you the other cards. Let's see, where do we want this little guy to go? Let's put him over here on this one. And then we've got one more. Let's just put one off to the side by itself. Okay, now let's come in with our rhinestones and let's add the little tiny ones, and then we'll stamp our sentiment. All right, so let me get my paper snips. I think it'll be easier to grab them this way. All right, so let's put, and this is gonna really dress up. So we're gonna put that right in center of the petal of the flower. So that kind of gives it a little bling there, makes it look pretty. All right, hang on, let's see. And you can use take your pick tool, your snips, whatever works for you to get these on here. If you have fingernails, then you can do it with that. More power to you. We'll put one here. Whoops. I got an extra one right on my finger. All right, we'll put that one there, and then we're going to add one here. And then we'll add a little tiny one to the little white guy right here. Put him, whoops, I got 2 of them there. Hold on. Hang on. Put him there. And I have an extra one. All right, everybody's covered. I think that looks good. Okay. All right, so let's put that off to the side. Move all these little guys out of the way. We don't need them. Let's go ahead and stamp our sentiment. And we're going to stamp that in the basic gray as well. And this is the Sending Hugs stamp, which is using from, oh, let me see. Which one is it? It is coming from the Layering Leaves stamp set, which is in the annual catalog. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. Put this tweezers, I think we're done with them. And let's stamp our sentiment. We could add a flower to the side of our sentiment too. So let's go ahead and ink this up with our basic gray. Now this one we are gonna pop down on dimensionals. Okay, so we're gonna stamp that. And I'm gonna try to get it straight. Let me line it up. All right. Yeah, I think we'll put the little green one that we have extra. Let me get my ink pad closed here. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna pop this up on dimensional. So let's go ahead and add those. And I'm gonna put one in each corner, and then I'm gonna put one in the center. And then don't forget to push your fingernails down into the center part to make it easier to pull these backings off. And then they pop right off. So you just pull them off. All right, so move that out of the way. And then we're gonna bring that in. Now before I attach that to the front of the card, let's go ahead and get our card base. And we're gonna fold this in half. Again, this is 8.5 by 5.5. You're gonna score it at 4 1/4. And make sure that you are using your bone folder. as that gives it a good crease, and do it a couple of times on each side. That will help to lay your card flat so it doesn't pop up. And then this we're just going to add with our regular adhesive. We're not going to pop this up. So the only thing that's going to be popped up is our sentiment. All right, now don't go anywhere because I want to show you what the other masks look like. All right, so we're going to lay that down. Petunia pop, and that, oh, look at that. It's coming together. All right, let's see. All right, so there's that, and then we're going to put our sentiment. So that's going to cover up the center where we've placed all the leaves, the stems, if you will. All right, let's take this little green, this green one here, and let's place that down. Let's put one up here because we've got the basic gray. So let's put a little green one towards the top. And there's our card. And then, of course, you're going to put your piece on the inside and stamp your sentiment, and then you will be ready to go. So there is the card that we created. Isn't that cute? Very quick and easy, except for the putting together a little, oops, we need to put a little bling bling right there. We left one off on our last little flower we added. So let's add one more rhinestone to this guy. We don't want him to feel left out. Hang on a minute. Let's get him moved over. There we go. There we go. Now we're done. And then when you go to mail this, you'll probably want to put a piece of cardstock on top to keep those from popping through. That way you don't have to pay any extra postage. So there is our card using these Linked Together Decorative Masks. All right, so I've showed you, you've seen how we've done, we've used mask 1, which is the petunia pop on here. And then the other mask on top was number 5. So let me show you the other 3 so you'll get an idea of what they look like. Now I did them all in petunia pop. Okay, this is number 2. So it gives you more of a triangle effect, and it will go through leaving a little thicker border of white where this one did a smaller border. Okay, so that's the difference from that one. And then number 3 has a lot more space in between. And these are becoming more of a triangle rather than a square. And you can see smaller squares in the on each side of the larger one. So these are a little bit more square. These are more triangle. And then this is number 4, which looks like the half. Looks like it's cut in half. So you've got some large ones and some small ones. So you've got a wide variety of uses that you can use these masks for, different shapes and that you want to do to create a card. And then, of course, the flowered one here is number 5. And then this one that has the smaller lines, which gave us smaller octagon shapes, is the number 1. And don't forget, you want to line them up each with the corner at the top left with the number, and then you'll just lay them on, make that little mark that I had recommended, and that will get everything on perfect when you do your blending. Okay, so there you go. There is our Fundamental Friday. I hope you've enjoyed this class. Hope you enjoyed the card. If you make any of these cards, please share them on our page. That would be great. And let me know what you think. And don't forget, if you need to make any purchases, you can go to my online store. And if you need the link for that, which are on Facebook, if you need the link, it will be in the video down below, or you can just make a comment, shop, and I'll send you the shopping link. All right, everybody, thank you again. I appreciate your time, and I apologize for the delay in getting started. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye now.